And welcome back to Big Apple Hockey. I am your host for tonight for another episode of The Final Buzzer. I'm John Flakowski. Follow me on Twitter at 92in82. We also, like I said, we have the Facebook group. So definitely follow us on the Facebook group as well. Facebook.com/group/Big Apple Hockey. Down in the ticker at the bottom, you'll see it scrolling across. Yeah, so we're back for another episode of The Final Buzzer, and tonight's game was definitely an interesting one. So, Dylan, I see what's going on. I see goalkeeper in here. That's interesting with some Asian-looking lettering after the name. So, good to see everybody in here so far. But yeah, let's get into the good, the bad, and what a lot of this game was. I would say ugly. This was one of those games where it reminded me of the way they were playing earlier on in the season, and it just the game was sloppy. It was a poor defensive effort. It just wasn't a well played game, and they went and they somehow won it because Igor was just Igor, and that's going to be the first point of focus here. Is after an off night. Igor bounces back big time with a big effort. He was amazing. He was the reason they won that game. You could talk about Mika Zibanejad. You could talk about Chris Kreider. You could talk about whatever you'd like. But, I mean, Igor Shesterkin, without that performance, they do not win that game. So I don't I don't think they win that game without Igor being the way that it was. Carolina just won in overtime on the power play. So Pittsburgh gains a point over the Rangers, but yeah. So yeah, so Pittsburgh just lost. But Igor was the reason. We win when Igor has a good night. Yeah. So I totally agree with that, Mike. Jason McKee, I don't think I've seen you in here before, but Canucks beat the Rangers, and then the Devils beat the Canucks, and we got to win again. Yeah, they need to be better. So they need to be better. But Igor was just himself tonight, and he was the reason they won. There's nothing else I could really say about Igor other than the fact that he was phenomenal. He made several saves that it looked like he had no business making. So good on Igor to make those saves. So good on him to be there for the team, because if the team played so bad tonight that if he wasn't himself, they would have absolutely lost this game. They would have absolutely lost this game. Efforts like this are just not acceptable for this team. So, Mika and Kreider, like I said, a goal apiece, goal and assist apiece. Really good to see them have the nights that they did. I thought Lafreniere was decent. I didn't think he was as good as he was last game. Yeah, goalkeeper. This is it. Really, one and a half good lines is not cutting it. You're right about this, goalkeeper. So, just the top line was good, but yeah, the other lines just really weren't all that great. I thought Panarin was decent. I thought Ryan Strome had a bad game. Dryden Hunt is just not good. And I thought some of the other players here and there were just kind of, Filipino got a goal. Good for him. Thought his game was okay. So, David, this is actually a good observation. The slow starts moving to the slow seconds. Yeah, they've started to start off games better, but their second periods have just been brutal as of late. So, good observation on that. I thought Mika Zibanejad was the best forward on the ice. I'm going to say I know it says best player, but Igor was the best, and yeah, the best skater was Zibanejad. Igor was the best player overall. I should have put skater, but you guys know what I mean. It just Igor was Igor, and he was the reason they won. But Mika was right there behind him. If you had to give it a number 2 star of the game, so he was really good. He was really good defensively too. He asserted his will all over the ice, and he seems to. The headline I was thinking of putting was Mika continues his great play against the Devils because he loves to play the Devils. He kills them. So, I would definitely love to see more of Mika Zibanejad's game like this against other teams as well. I mean, he's been playing well for a while, but I would love to see him dominate like this against other teams as well. So, just because they're going to need it going down the stretch. Hedl gets his second goal in the last 5 games. Good to see from Filip Hedl. Nice to see him get rewarded. I'm still not very high on him. He's got 6 goals so far this season. Good for him, but we need more. We need a little more from Hedl. So, Rican, I'm gonna highlight your comment about or your question about Drury bringing in Raquel. We'll talk about that the Q&A part. I like that question. I will get to that. But I do want to go through the rest of the other stuff. Braden Schneider, he's the real deal. He just seems to be their most consistent defenseman right now. Who the hell would have thought a rookie would be this team's most consistent defenseman? If you would have told me that, I would call you a liar, because I never would have thought it myself. And I don't think anybody out there in this world would have thought it. So, but Braden Schneider continues his great play. He made one mistake on the Jack Hughes spinorama move, but that's just a great move by Hughes. Hughes is just an incredible skater. So, I'm with you on this, David. Hedl does need to follow a strong game with another strong one. So, and goalkeeper, no, I don't think anybody else played defense aside from Schneider tonight. Nemeth certainly wasn't good. He wasn't a complete dumpster fire like he normally is. Mike, again, Nemeth didn't hurt Igor, so that's a win. Yeah, that's gonna. I have a feeling that's gonna be a common theme from you for the rest of the season. So I'll know that you're here in the chat by that, seeing that comment. But yeah, it seemed like Schneider was the only one who knew what the hell he was doing defensively, because Trouba and Miller were awful in their own zone. And it seemed like every time they were on, there were quality chances against them. So going to move on from Schneider, though. Brodzinski is better than McKegg. Please don't play McKegg for the rest of the season. Please do not. Just don't. Go with Brodzinski. Go with Greco. Bring up Payaniemi, but keep Greg McKegg out of the damn lineup. And Morgan Barron being in there for him is better for this team. So, and listen, I'm not even high on Barron because I think his skating needs to be fixed. But yeah, and this is actually a really good comment, Rican. They do need to close the gap on the faster teams. So a lot of the defenders are slow. Or more specifically, Trouba and Nemeth are really slow and can't close gaps. So that's a big problem. And I totally agree with this goalkeeper. A cardboard cutout of McKegg would probably be more effective than McKegg. At least it wouldn't turn the puck over. David, Brodzinski showed he killed penalties, so why else would McKegg need to play? Yeah, that's a great comment, actually. That's a great comment. That's one of the better comments I've seen anyone leave in here, actually. Well done, sir. Well done. No, but I mean, seriously, though, you're right. Why do they need McKegg if Brodzinski could do it and not make the other dumbass plays that McKegg makes? What's the need for McKegg then? Because McKegg is literally nothing but a worse version of Howden. And you don't need a worse version of Howden in the lineup. I remember how badly everybody wanted Howden gone because Howden was just nothing but cardio. He was just doing laps. So, but we're going to move on from that. And you got to love them sticking up for Sammy. They remembered Sammy. They did it for Sammy. They were going after Subban. Barclay Goodrow went right after him. And then when Subban went after Hedel because he wanted to show that he was a real tough guy, Barclay Goodrow and Ryan Reeves both went right at Subban. And Subban backed right down right away because Subban is a little bitch. B-I-T-C-H, bitch. You are a pussy, Subban. You are a spineless sack of shit. Yeah, I don't care. Flag me for the language. I don't care. I really don't. That's what Subban is. He's a joke. He's a dirtbag. He's a scumbag, and he doesn't belong in this league. You're a joke. Retire. I'm not going to waste much time on Subban, though. Not worth my time. Not worth the waste of breath. Subban isn't worth the gum on the bottom of my shoe. I could care less about him. Screw that guy. He sucks, and he's a dirtbag. So we're going to move on from him. That was all of the good, though. So
that's good.
Now on to all of the bad. Rough? I don't know what you mean by this, GTG. I don't know what you mean by that. I don't know if you mean I'm tired or something, but I don't know what that means. A putrid effort defensively. Yeah. I'm going to say that the least. It's putrid. They were awful defensively. They were absolutely awful. Tired, yeah, a little tired. I'm not terribly tired, but a little tired. Long week, but Subban. I mean, now I'm getting all out of sorts. The defense was just not there tonight. It wasn't. They were awful. They gave up many chances, and it's not even just the defense corpse. The team defense, the way that they played, the forwards the way that the forwards played defense as well was just awful. They need to go get some forwards that know how to play good defense. You know what? I wasn't a big fan of adding Arturi Lehkonen, but if the price is right on him, I would add him because that would help this team big time. So I would. They need to do something with it because this team can't keep playing like this defensively and expecting to win games. They won 2 games in a row where they were outplayed. Outplayed badly, too. Giving up a ton of high danger chances. And Igor faltered a little bit in the one game, and then he bounced back, and he was absolutely phenomenal in the next. So, Dylan, yeah, I agree with you, but I don't think that's going to solve all the problems. I don't think Jones solves all this team's problems. I think that there's a lot of lazy, sloppy, and mentally absent play from these guys. I just don't even know what they were doing. The Nico Hischier goal was just terrible defense by Lindgren, who's usually never that bad one-on-one. Adam Fox has made just some real bad plays in his own zone where you're just like, what are you doing? Because Adam Fox is usually so smart and so stout defensively. I do agree with this goalkeeper. At some point, when do we start looking at the coaching? When do we start looking at Gord Murphy and saying, what are you communicating to this team? And what are you doing to change the issues? Because it seems like it's been this way all season where the team defense has just been atrocious. Is it Mike Kelly? Who do we look at? So I don't know. I'm not a fan of it. It's got to change. Something's got to change because they ain't going to win the playoffs like this. They're just not. It's not going to happen. But we're going to move on from that point. Miller and Trouba were awful in their own end. Just absolutely awful. I think this was one of their absolute worst games. We're going to talk about the Calgary games. They were bad. They were bad in this one. And the only reason why they didn't look nearly as bad as they actually were to the untrained eye is because of the fact that Igor stopped the pucks from going in. Because with the amount of chances that they gave up all night, New Jersey should have had 7 goals, 6, 7 goals, I'd say. Because Trouba and Miller were good for it. Miller let up another breakaway where he let the forward get behind him. Trouba was caught pinching. Again, what else is new? I don't know what he thinks he's doing, but he's just bad at it. I just don't know anymore. Rican, I don't know if it's Lindgren is hurt in hurting in that department. I just think he played that so poorly. What was he doing? He gave up his back on the play. Like, what are you doing there? That's a mental thing. If you're watching the shoulders and you're following the body, like, you're not giving up the back. You're not in that position at all. You've got one hand on your stick. You've got another hand ready to go body the player, ride him off into the boards, and separate him from the puck. And you don't even have to worry about giving up your back to him. Like, you never give up your back to the forward. That's Cardinal sin number 1 for playing one-on-one defense. You never give your back to the forward, to the puck carrier. You are done if you do that. Every coach will tell you that. And Lindgren did that. And I don't know what he was doing on that play, but he got absolutely walked. And that's what happens. So, David, this is actually a good point. Generally, rush teams are lacking defensively because they're always trying to move up ice. Yeah, to a point they are. But it's also got to be another. How do I say this? It's got to be another reason. And the other reason I would believe is that I think this team knows that they need to overcompensate for their lack of 5-on-5 sustained offense. And they're getting too involved. The defense is getting too involved offensively at times because the forwards aren't good at, 1, retrieving the pucks, and 2, entering the zone. The Rangers are one of the worst teams in the league in both of those categories. They're bottom 5 in both of those categories: zone entry and sustained offensive zone time and puck retrieval. Actually, 3 of them that they're some of the worst in. So, Jeff, yeah, he's past Henrik in 11-12. He's on Dominic Hasek 97-98 levels right now. That's what Shesterkin is doing right now. Corey, hey, you know what? Yeah, you know what? You're one of the good ones, buddy. I mean, like I said, I can be a bit abrasive, and I'm the first to admit it. There's anyone who knows me on a personal level knows that I will admit to being that guy. I will absolutely admit to being a guy that can be abrasive, that could come off as rough around the edges. I'm just a very blunt, straightforward type of person, and a lot of people don't like that when they claim to like that. But when you tell me you like that type of thing, you're going to get that from me. And I think that rubs a lot of people the wrong way. You, on the other hand, I see people, yeah, this guy knows. This guy knows. So, good question from you, Michael. I will get back to this in the Q&A time. So I'm going to bookmark that about the trade deadline question you have there. But yeah, Core, I see people in your comments section and stuff like that and saying things, and I see people with you on Twitter, and I'm just like, you know what? This kid doesn't bother anybody. He just wants to talk hockey, and yeah, I just don't get why some people are the way that they are. But you know what? That's the internet for you. People are going to be like that, man. Good for you for being able to brush that stuff off. Brody, yeah, definitely agree with this. The long memories is definitely a good point. It was addressed. I wish it was addressed a little more with Revo punching his face into the ice, but I guess you can't always get what you want. Yeah. So, yeah, I do think Laffy had a decent game. I don't want to say good, but decent. I didn't put him in the good or the bad just because I thought his last few games were better than this one. Fox and Lindgren need to wake the fuck up. I'm gonna say it. They need to wake the fuck up. Just the defensive efforts from them have just been sloppy, lazy. I don't care if you're putting up points if you're playing like crap defense. I don't care. Like you've just gotta stop playing like that defensively. And it's been like this for a while for Fox and Lindgren. Like I said, when Fox was out, Schneider outplayed Lindgren on that top pairing. I knew there was a problem when that was happening. But it's continued. It's continued, and it's continued for a while, and it's a concern. It's a major concern. I've had people telling me it's not a concern. No, this is a concern. This is something to be concerned about, guys and girls. Like this is not good hockey from the top pairing, because that second pairing is so bad defensively that they can't be this bad, the first pairing. Maybe, Big Blue, you may be right that he might have a nagging injury, Fox, but it doesn't excuse the mental mistakes that the two of them are making. They're sloppy mental mistakes. I'm going to repeat that again for you, goalkeeper. It doesn't excuse the sloppy mental mistakes. And Mr. Fantastic, you're right about this. Lindgren, he just absolutely got walked on Hischier's goal. Yeah. This comment is great. Fox had his birthday, and you think he'd aged 40 years since his birthday. Is he still hungover from his birthday or something? Because the way he's playing is just terrible. And Big Blue, I know you're not making excuses. I'm just saying, like, these are mental things, man. Like, these are just dumb, boneheaded plays, and then some lazy plays thrown in there where you're just like, what? Come on, man. Like, it just, enough is enough. These guys need to be better. These guys simply need to be better. Yeah, and watch Core's stuff. If you guys get the chance, watch his channel. He's got some good stuff on his channel. His channel is a little bit of a different approach from his is a little more like this, as opposed to like our weekly show. But Core's stuff is good, so watch his stuff. And Strome, just why, Strome? Why are you just taking bad penalties and missing just wide open nets? I just go back to the video of him that he posted on Twitter during the first part of COVID, where he was shooting slap shot or taking clappers from 2 feet away from the net with tennis balls, and is like on his basketball court in his backyard, and just, yeah, he needs to start doing that again. He needs to learn how to start hitting open nets. So, I know there's a lot of people that are saying the same thing, Nick, that they can't wait for Strome to leave after this year. I mean, Strome's not helping himself with the way he's played as of late. That's all the good, bad, and ugly, by the way. I'm not even going to play the clip because I kind of went into ugly. Bad and ugly were just like kind of like the same thing today. I don't know. I just don't know. But we'll go into the Q&A. Yeah, David, I agree. I think Fox has been the worst in his own end. I don't know what it is, but yeah, it was just, he's just been bad in his own end lately. Bad. DP, I totally agree. That save was ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. Mr. Fantastic, I don't think the Rangers have played that well overall since the break. They haven't looked the same. Yeah, I'm totally with you here. Igor has been the guy. It's really bad that an atrocious Fox is still better than Miller and Trouba. Yeah, goalkeeper. This is a great, great comment because it's absolutely true. So, David, yeah, in the offensive end, I get it. I get it. Strome can't hit the net to save his life. Yeah, Tyler, that's true. Yeah, David, Strome with an open net and another penalty. Who says Strome isn't consistent? Totally agree. Thank you, Mark. And yeah, like Mark says, everybody, please remember to like, share, and subscribe if you haven't already. We appreciate that. Helps us grow the channel. Hey, John, what's going on? You missed the good, bad, and the ugly part, but we're doing the Q&A. And Jeffrey, yeah, I totally agree with you here. Strome just, yeah, it's not. Well, I don't agree with Nick. I don't necessarily want Strome to be gone, but if they got a good replacement for him, I'm taking that replacement. If they could get Hurdle for like $6 million or something like that, maybe $7 million, I think I'd take that over Strome at $6 million. So, so I'm gonna go through the bookmarks here real quick. There's only 2. Poppy Rican, do I think Drury will bring in Raquel? I think Raquel is very possible. I think it's very, very possible that Ricard Raquel is in there because Raquel is he's affordable. Anaheim will move him for cheaper than Vancouver would move JT Miller, especially if Vancouver's asking price continues to have Braden Schneider as part of it. That's not happening. The Rangers are not moving Braden Schneider. So, yeah, I think that Ricard Raquel would be a real good fit here, and he's got center/right wing versatility. So, yeah, Brody, I definitely agree with this. Fox could come off blindfolded, drunk, and one-legged arm, and still be better than Nemeth. I totally agree that Hunt is bad on that second line, Mr. Fantastic. Tyler, they're actually missing multiple pieces. Let me actually bookmark this and get back to that in just a second. John, this is actually a really good question. I think that's not the case, though, because Fox played 70 games as a rookie. You got to remember that. So he played a full season as a rookie. I don't think we can really use that excuse anymore. And this is his 3rd year in the league, so it's not really like a wall type thing for Fox. I just think that something's up with him. Goalkeeper, this is a great question. Could Strome be in his own head because he hasn't gotten a deal yet and deadline is approaching? That's more than possible. It's more than possible, but the one thing I'll say about that is that Ryan Strome has played erratically like this throughout his career. And this is how he is when he's off. So it could be that, but this is something we're used to from Ryan Strome. Michael, I bookmarked this one. How much do I think the trade deadline is playing in the minds of some of these players? Well, it's funny because that was just basically the question that was just asked. But yeah, I think the trade deadline is definitely playing into some of the minds. Ryan Strome might be one of them. There's definitely some others that are probably a little probably affected a little bit by it, but Ryan Strome seems like he would be the one, maybe Philip Hedl. I don't know who else, but there definitely could be some guys that are probably a little bit in their heads. So my last bookmark one was from Tyler. What's the one piece we're missing and should go out for at the deadline? I definitely don't think it's one piece. I think there's more than one piece. I think you need two. I think you might even need a second line center at this point. So if Strome doesn't pull his head out of his ass, I mean, what's Panarin going to do by himself there on that line? So I think they need I think they need a couple of wingers, a center, and then a defenseman, I would say. Something to get Patrick Nemeth out of that damn lineup. And Mark, yeah, Strome in the Capitals game took a penalty to end the first and the second period. Like, just dumb penalties, too. Hedl has had 2.5 good games in his last 5 or so games. I mean, I guess we could take that from Hedl. So, yeah, goalkeeper. This a center, a defenseman, and a winger at the bare minimum. Yeah, pretty much. 3 forwards and a defenseman, John. Yeah, that's basically what I was saying. Brody says if Strome has his contract in his head, his play is only going to decrease when he gets, no matter where he plays. Yeah. So, has my negative opinion on Nemeth changed from the first half of the season? Curious on his thoughts of his recent play. Not really. He's still the same guy. Has he been a little better? Sure, but he's still not an NHL level defenseman. He shouldn't be in the lineup. Let's just put it this way. If you want to have a realistic chance of winning a playoff round, you can't have Patrick Nemeth in the lineup. You can't have Greg McKegg in the lineup. You cannot have Johnny Brodzinski in the lineup. You cannot have Julian Gauthier in the lineup. You can't have Dryden Hunt in the lineup either. But if it came down to it, Dryden Hunt on the 4th line or as a 13th forward would be the most acceptable out of all of them, probably. You know what? Hell, I think I'd rather have Brodzinski over there over Hunt. That's just me. So, but no, I don't think Nemeth belongs in an NHL lineup. I think he's bad. I think when Colorado lost to Vegas and Patrick Nemeth got victimized, I think that just kind of brought how bad he is to the surface because Detroit Red Wings fans were telling everybody that he was bad. Colorado Avalanche fans told people that he was bad. Like, this guy's not good. David Wood says, I don't want to give up the assets to rebuild a bottom 6 and bottom pair at the deadline. I don't blame you. A lot of bottom 6 players get over the prices get overpaid. So. Michael, if John D wants his wish list, it will cost a lot of assets. I guess you're talking about John Lee. So, I mean, Andrew Kopp will cost quite a bit if that's what you're referring to. His wish list is we all know his wish list has Andrew Kopp at the top of it. I don't blame him. So. And yeah, goalkeeper. It's funny because this is something I've seen on social media, especially on Twitter. It seems like the Rangers have to have one just dog shit level defenseman. Whether it was Dan Boyle, Jack Johnson, Patrick Nemeth, even if you want to go before those guys, you had Jeff Boyd-Witka, Steve Eminger, Stu Bickle. I mean, I could go back to the dark days if you want to talk about awful Rangers defensemen that I watched growing up. Your Stefan Quintals, your Dave Karpas, Igor Ulanovs, Peter Smoreks, Richard Lintners. I would say Joel Bouchard, but Joel Bouchard looked like all-star caliber compared to a lot of those guys. So, no, a first for Andrew Kopp wouldn't be terrible. Andrew Kopp would probably get that. Jason Doeg is another one. Wade Redden was, but that was bad after the dark days. Roman Endor was horrible. God. Ozolinch was bad, but he wasn't as bad as some of the other guys that I've been mentioning. Like, you do not want to watch some of the guys that are Dale Purinton, just awful. Didn't belong on NHL ice at all. You know what, Greg? I hate this because I liked Michael Roosevelt. Was he a number one defenseman? No, but he was thrusted into that role because they had no one else. You remember what those defense pairings look like? Oh, you shut up, Greg. Shut up. He said, get out of here. He wasn't the number one defenseman, and he was put into that role because they had no one else. Dude, Marek Malik was playing on that pairing with him. Marek Malik dragged him down. Jeez, oh my God. It's just how dumb. All right, so that's hot pairing in 05-06 was Roosevelt and Malik. And you want to know what their number two pairing was? Darius Kasparaitis and Fedor Tutin. And then their other pairing? Sandy Zozelinch and Tom hit him with your purse, Pody. Yeah. Oh, we forgot. We had to mix in Karl Rakunik to that one. That's another great Rangers defenseman. Ugh. Christian Backstrom was really bad too. He was terrible, Jeffrey. I remember 08 deadline acquisition from St. Louis there. Oof. So, but yeah, I want nothing to do with having a Rosewall situation. Marek Malik was a better defender than Nemeth. I will say that. Not by much, but better. This is true. I am awful. So, but yes, those defenses were bad. Those first, like those Yager and Friends years, the defenses were just awful. And Roosevelt should have never been a number one defenseman on any. He wouldn't have been on almost any other team. He was the only guy they had. They didn't draft defenders back then. Well, I think the last time they drafted a defenseman that looked like he had any promise before, I would say Michael Delzato probably would have been Tomas Klocek, and he wasn't even a high draft pick. Fedor Tutin. Forgot Fedor Tutin. He was a second round pick in 2001. But I mean, they just weren't really good at drafting defenders that could stick. Like, this team is terrible at drafting and developing forwards. For a long time, they were terrible at drafting and developing defensemen. Tomas Polk wasn't a draft pick. He was a free agent. He was a undrafted free agent out of college. So, yeah, let's see. Yeah, he was an undrafted free agent. They signed him out of, was it BU or BC? Hold on. It was the NCAA that he played in. I know that. I just don't remember what team that he played on. Oh, sorry. UMass Amherst. He was like a point per game defender his last 2 years at UMass Amherst. And then the Rangers signed him, and he had 4 points in his first 6 games at the end of the 03-04 season. And then he just never really caught on. I mean, he had 8 points in 44 games in 2007. And he never stuck in the NHL. So, but Dylan McElrath was another one, was terrible. Michael Roosevelt won with Chicago, Michael. Yeah. I don't think Kreider is hitting 50 goals. I would love that, because that would mean that Kreider is on fire again, but I don't think that's happening. He's at 36. I just think that, let's see here. How many games does this team have left? Because I think they're about the 50 game mark now. So, standings. No, I'm sorry, 50. There are 55 games. Okay, so they have 27 games left, and he needs 14 goals in 27 games. So that's more than a goal every other game. I just don't think that's happening. I don't think that's happening. Yeah, 24 games left. I don't see it. I don't. I hope it happens, but I don't think it. That's what I'd said. Goalkeeper. I think if he hits 45, you call it a day and you say, okay, you're happy. This is what you thought Chris Kreider could possibly do one day if he ever played consistently. Chris T saying he'll finish with 47. Okay, Chris, I'm gonna mark you down for that. So Rafael Diaz. I mean, I would take Rafael Diaz over the other assorted garbage they've had since 97, 98, somewhere around there. If you look at some of the defenders they've had on those teams, just god awful deep defenders there. It just, I mean, if you look at the 98 roster, a 29-year-old Brian Leetch, just you wasted prime years of Brian Leetch just missing the playoffs. Just terrible. I don't understand. Matt Gilroy was an undrafted free agent, and he was a forward that went to defense. So I do kind of feel bad for Matt Gilroy in a way, just because it was his dream to come play for the Rangers and just didn't work out. But I mean, the defense, Bruce Driver was just run down. By the time the Rangers got Bruce Driver, he just wasn't the same. Jeff Finley. I like Karpatsev, but I mean, he just, and God rest his soul, but just wasn't great. He was solid, steady guy. I mean, he had Eric Cairns for a little bit, and he was awful. I mean, some of these other guys, though, just really. And then, the 98-99 season, they were even worse. And you had guys like, Matthew Schneider was good for them. They should have never let him go in the expansion draft to Columbus. That was stupid. But Chris Tamer, who ended up starting the end of Mike Richter's career, Peter Popovich, Jan Mertzig. Anyone remember him? Again, Jeff Finley, Stanislav Nechka for 18 games, who was just not good. And just some of these guys are just terrible. Yeah, and signings rivals players almost never works out. Scott Gomez didn't work out. Bruce Driver didn't work out. Dan, hey, you doubt that Kreider gets to 50 because the opponents are not taking penalties. The Rangers aren't really generating penalties. They just aren't, Dan. They need to be better with that. Another one, Greg DeVries. I liked Greg DeVries as a Ranger. Bobby Holik. All right, that contract was never going to be good. You don't sign a guy like Bobby Holik to a 5-year, $45 million deal. I don't care if Toronto and Philadelphia are throwing $8.5 million a year at him like they were. You get out of the race and you let those idiots do their thing. But Jesus Christ, that was just bad. But Bobby Holik actually was just, he wasn't a bad player for the Rangers. He got hurt in 02-03, and in 03-04, he was their leading scorer, sadly enough. Jason McKee, Panarin needs more than empty netters. I totally agree with this. Yeah, goalkeeper Kevin Shattenkirk was a tragedy. You're right about that. He got hurt and just never the same. Adam Fox then came along and basically took his job. So, yeah. I can tell you right now, there's just a lot of names over these years that I'm just like, thank God they were gone, like Sylvain Lefebvre and Stefan Quintal. Just some of these other ones are just like Kevin Hatcher when he came to the Rangers was just awful. He was well past his prime. He was done. Rich Pilon, if anyone remembers Rich Pilon as a Ranger. Yeah, that was not good. They had him playing with Brian Leetch at times in like 01. That was bad. It was bad. Sylvain Lefebvre, Brad Brown. Oh God, Alexei Gusarov when they got him from Colorado. They took him from Colorado. That was another bad one. Vladimir Malikov just never worked out with the Rangers. Sure, David. You could say this about Gomez. He didn't live up to the contract, and then they got McDonough for him. Yeah, sure. But I mean, it's still just he didn't work out for the Rangers. Sergei Zubov and Peter Nedved for Robitaille and Samuelson is either 1A, 1B, one for the worst trade in Rangers history. The other one you're going to argue is Rick Middleton for Ken Hodge, because that one was just terrible. It's one of the most lopsided trades in NHL history, actually. Boris Mironov was another one who was awesome in Edmonton. It looked like he was going to develop into a Norris caliber defender in Edmonton, and then he just never took it to that next level, and he just was not good with the Rangers at all. 03-04, I remember that. So the Rangers have to beat the teams they are supposed to beat for the remainder of the season, then they're going to be in good shape. No, Brad Park was for Phil Esposito. So it was Park and Rattel for Esposito and Vadnais. Yeah, and that wasn't a good one. Yeah. Brad Park, and he had some good years still in Boston, but he definitely wasn't the defender that he was in New York in Boston. But Esposito wasn't the forward in Boston that he was in New York, but he was never going to be that because there was no Bobby Orr. And Bobby Orr was a big part of the reason why he was that good. But, Brad Park, he had like a 60-point season in Boston 1 year. He had a 79-point season in 1978 for the Bruins. And he had 2 other 60-point seasons. But, he was getting towards the end of his career in the mid-'80s, and then in Detroit, he just wasn't the same guy, So, bad trades are a Rangers tradition. Yes, they are, David. So, bad trades and awful drafts. Yep. And we keep winning games that we shouldn't be, Mike. It seems to be the story of the season. I don't know. I don't know much about that, Michael. I would have to look into that. I haven't heard anything about Middleton being traded for personal reasons. I know that Espo and Ken Hodge were very good friends from their time in Boston, and I've heard from several sources that Esposito wanted Hodge. So take that for what it's worth. Again, I'm not telling you to take it as gospel, but that's what I've heard. So thank you, Dave. I appreciate that. Just remember, like, share, and subscribe. Leo, welcome back, buddy. And the only reason why I say Nemeth hasn't looked as bad is just because the top 4 defenders have just been terrible lately. So the focus has kind of been taken away from Nemeth because these guys, the top 4 defenders, are playing uncharacteristically bad. Well, especially the top pairing has been uncharacteristically bad. The second pairing, just they give you bad game after bad game, and then they have a good game sprinkled in there, and then they're just right back to their usual bad stuff. But I tell you right now, Adam Fox and Ryan Lindgren being as bad as they've been lately has just taken a lot of attention away from Patrick Nemeth. I will say that. So, but yeah. probably go to like 10:45, I would say. So like another 8 minutes. Get some more questions in. But haven't heard a whole lot today in the rumor mill. I know yesterday was a bit of a big night because of the fact that Dreger was talking about the JT Miller rumors again. So let's see here. Let's see here. Just going through some of these comments. Just looking it through my Twitter feed too, and just bad. Thoughts on trading for Kessel since Capo will be out for a few weeks? I want Kessel. I think Kessel would absolutely help that second line. Best trades in Rangers history over Messier and Zibanejad. I would agree with this. And then Ryan McDonagh would have to be up there. The trade for Ryan McDonagh, obviously, not the trading away of. But I don't think you put Nemeth with Fox. I don't. I just think that drags Fox's play down anymore, and I don't think that could happen right now. Sorry, Mike. I just don't think that could happen. Dave, I have no doubt that Fox is playing with some sort of nagging injury. I don't know, but it's mental. But I don't see how you can have him as a Norris finalist. Rooney, I think, is week to week. They said, Greg. Yeah, I don't see how Miller makes sense. David, you're pushing off the inevitable. Yeah, I don't think they're going after JT Miller. I think that's Vancouver media blowing smoke out everyone's ass. So, Tomas, you and your brother are in here tonight. Good to see. But hope Hedo will get a small jump start from goal. It's funny, I said that on Twitter. Your brother follows me on Twitter. I don't know if you have a Twitter account, Tomas, but follow me on there. You'd see that on my timeline tonight. So. And Mike, yeah, they will play better to not play with Nemeth. Yeah. Schneider, Michael would have to go to the left side to play with Fox, or Fox would have to play left side to play with Schneider, and I don't think they're going to do that. But I do like the idea of Lindgren not playing with Fox because I think that just he's become too dependent on Fox. And if Schneider could play left side, oh man, that would be something because that would his versatility to being able to play both sides of the ice just would be awesome. JT would be too expensive. Lou, I do agree with this. Leo, Lehkonen is probably the one piece we go for. Kravtsov, I wouldn't give Kravtsov up in a Lehkonen deal. I think that's a waste of an asset there. That's just me. Greg, who do I think, based on rumors and knowledge of what we need, the Rangers get? I think Rickard Rakell or Phil Kessel is probably the play. I don't think they're in on JT Miller. I really don't. I've been saying this for a while that I think that Vancouver is leaking things to the media to try to drive up the price on JT Miller. Now they're turning around and saying that, that Vancouver doesn't want to move JT Miller. But, okay, so if they don't want to move JT Miller, then go get – they don't have to worry about that right now then, right? Because they've got a year and change to do it. So I just don't – I don't think that it's going to happen. I think the only way that a Rangers Miller for the Rangers deal for Miller, if you ask me, is if that price comes down, and I think it's going to have to. I think that the Tyler Toffoli deal really affected the market, and even though Vancouver fans online don't want to admit it, Tyler Toffoli getting the quantity over quality type of return that he got for Montreal is really going to hurt the market for someone like Miller because he's got term as well. If you want to tell me that the rentals, it hits differently with the rentals, sure. But I don't think that I don't think that's good. That return was good for Vancouver. Raquel's got 15 goals and 26 points in 46 games. So it's a far cry from the 2017 and 2018 Ricard Raquel that had 30 goals and then 50 points and then 60 points. But Ricard Raquel, has a good, he's still a good player, and his versatility could help the Rangers out a lot. So thank you, Michael. I appreciate that. Leo, I heard that Arizona couldn't secure a deal on Kessel in exchange for a third, but yeah, if they're not getting a third, why are you not throwing a fourth and a prospect to Arizona for Phil Kessel? Like, Phil Kessel's on pace for 50 points on a dumpster fire team like Arizona. And not only that, but he can help drive play on that second line. What's the issue here? And most of the Ranger rumors feel like other teams linking. Yeah, and that's the thing. I've been saying that about Vancouver, Mike, for a while. It's all coming from Dreger, Thomas Drance, Rick Dhaliwal, Frank Saravalli, people who are more connected to the Canucks than they are with the Rangers. We haven't heard a peep from the Rangers people. And Larry Brooks, whether anyone likes it or not, is the one that's most connected. Not Vince Mercogliano, who I love. Not Colin Stevenson, who I'm a very big fan of. Not Molly Walker. Not anybody else. Not Arthur Staple. No one is more connected to this organization than Brooks. So, I don't think they're, Leo, I don't think they're in on Sherratt. I don't. I know that Dreger said it. I just don't get it. I don't see. I don't see him as being this massive upgrade over Nemeth. Yes, he is an upgrade, but yeah. Molly and them too busy looking at Revo's hammer. Oh, my God. Oh, jeez. Oh. And if Arizona's willing to retain on Kessel, the Rangers don't even need that. They have deadline cap space. That's not even an issue. They don't need that. So yeah, on the call though for tonight. It's that time for me. I'm probably going to try to relax and probably try to go and get some sleep soon. So, but thank you all for joining me, and I appreciate it. It's always good when the Rangers win. I'm sorry I don't have that energy that I normally have, but definitely an interesting game. They need to play better than this, though, and hopefully we get some better efforts from this team going forward. So, again, thank you all for joining. Just remember to like, share, and subscribe if you can. Tell everybody you know about us. We would appreciate that. We want to grow the channel and give more content. So, again, thank you all very much. Have a good night. Enjoy the rest of your weekend, and let's go Rangers.